So for those who don't know, John Henry is a folk tale about the man John Henry who's trying to beat a steam-powered drill, seeing if a man or a machine could drill through a mountain and create a tunnel for a railroad line faster. John Henry actually wins the race but dies right after, and the whole story is supposed to symbolize the human perseverance in face of the Industrial Revolution. The story has been adapted many times, just like this Disney short film. A modern telling of this story could be very interesting. This movie came out in 2020, but I feel like the concept of AI has been around enough where that is very relevant, especially how humans are feeling today about AI, how they probably felt back in the Industrial Revolution. So what does a modern retelling of this folktale actually do? Honestly, nothing. It doesn't really connect to the original story that much. Like, there are vague references here and there, like Terry Crews uses a sledgehammer at one point, which is the same thing that John Henry used when he was going up against the machine, and honestly, that's pretty much it. And unlike the Disney version, where everything's a bit more upbeat and bright, this version opens with a dog getting hit by a car and dying. Okay, definitely starting on a downer. I thought this might be the setup for like a really over-the-top movie like John Wick, but no, the dog's just dead. There's actually some interesting direction in this movie with dynamic shots and lighting. The bad guy in this movie is played by Ludacris, who has a golden jaw. Why, you may ask? I don't know, they thought it would be a cool Fortnite character. But Ludacris's whole thing is that his gang and lair represent hell, and there's some really cool aesthetics here. But throughout the rest of the movie, everything is very grounded, so the style that they do here with Ludacris just feels really out of place. And you know, this is a 0% Rotten Tomatoes movie, so there is some dialogue here that makes you go, what were you guys thinking here? Just like when John Henry's dad talks about how life can be unfair at times.
Was it fair that I had a stroke at 52 and lost all practical use of my penis? My dick was legendary, son. Legendary. Every fine piece of ass from Inglewood to Alhambra had a taste of BJ's hammer. Then boom. Soft for the rest of time.
It's just not fair. I feel like Taylor Swift should write a song about my hammer and not Travis Kelce's wood. During a shootout at their house, Henry's dad suddenly gets the strength to walk again.
How are you standing?
Adrenaline's a hell of a drug, son.
Yeah, I don't think that's how being wheelchair bound works. Like, no one was like, oh, okay, FDR is being president during World War II, like, not exciting enough for you. The structure for this movie is also just very weird. Like, they have these long sequences of just showing us different parts of LA and having these flashback clips that were filmed on an old camera. These sequences take up so much time that should be used for developing the story or characters. And to be blunt, the only reason why I think these sequences are in the movie is just to pad out the runtime. I will give credit to Terry Crews, though. He is trying in this movie.
Where?
He leaves no bodies.
And why'd he leave you?
So I'd feel it.
And the movie does give John Henry an arc. He starts off the movie not wanting to hurt anyone and won't even pick up a gun during a shootout. And by the end of the movie, John Henry is killing people with a sledgehammer and even offs Ludacris.
You know you ain't no killer. I'm not a killer. I'm John Henry.
Yes, kids, remember, if you aren't willing to kill people, that's sorta on you, and you're sort of a bitch. Violence is always the answer, and that's why I am so good at Jeopardy. And in the end, John Henry dies, because remember, that's how the folktale ends. I honestly was ready to rank this pretty high, but after watching the whole film, there's no like cohesive direction to it all, and the message of violence will solve all of your problems is just like, dude, what the hell? I'm gonna be extremely generous here and say the connection between this movie and the original folktale is that John is in this movie fighting the machine that is the system. But it doesn't really work because the system of violence John is fighting is ludicrous and someone's just gonna replace him and uphold that system of violence. I don't know, if you haven't noticed, I am a white guy talking about this movie, so I could be super off, and honestly I think what really happened is the studio used the IP of John Henry to try and get people to see this movie because they recognized the name. You could argue the next movie that we're talking about here also has the message of violence will solve all of your problems, but instead of people, you're killing vampires in Transylvania.